Hello, I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international social etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books, Etiquette, the Least You Need to Know, and Afternoon Tea Etiquette. If you're interested in ordering my books, please make sure to email me at info@jamilamusayeva.com. I'll link it down below in the description box as well. If you are a new viewer on my channel, here I talk about etiquette, soft skills, self-development, and all kind of interesting topics related to that. If you are interested in all of that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you're an old viewer, welcome back to my channel. I'm delighted to see you here. Today's video is my reaction to Hailey Bieber having dinner with Vogue, trying out different dishes from French cuisine. This is almost like a dermatologist reacting to a skincare routine or a skincare ritual of a celebrity. It is in no way personal. I personally admire Hailey Bieber. I find her so beautiful, so charming, so kind. I don't know her personally. By watching her videos, that's the image or vibe that I get, that she's a really kind soul. I am subscribed to her channel. I admire and follow her on Instagram. So I personally love this woman. It's just my reaction as an etiquette coach to the manners that she had at the table. So without further ado, let's get started. In this very first episode, you're going to see a glimpse from the table setup for Hailey, and in the video, I'll discuss what is what and how the table is set up. So here we have a table set up similar to what we see in the video. We have fork on our left hand side, we have knife on our right hand side. And usually the fork is facing with tines upwards, which is not very traditional, typical French. In France, they're usually serving with tines looking downwards like that, but we've placed it just like in the video. There's a napkin on the right hand side as well. Salt. Interestingly, there is just a salt and not salt and pepper, which is how they usually brought to the table. There's a water glass, which is without the stem, and then there will be a white wine glass that you're going to see in the video. There's also a bread plate placed above to my left hand side, above the plate, and there's also a knife. In the video, the knife that you see that is served for Hailey, it's not a typical butter knife because it has blades and it's quite longer. It's placed like that, vertically. The knife could either be placed vertically or it could be placed like that, horizontally on the bread plate. This is a typical butter knife because it doesn't have any blades, it's flat out, and the top part is wider than the bottom. So this part is actually used to scoop the butter and then use it to spread it on the bread. In this second episode, we're going to see how she unfolds a napkin, and we'll talk about what is the right way of unfolding a napkin at the table. So what we see in this episode is that Hailey takes a napkin, she swings it up in the air like that, and then she brings it on her lap. I understand that this was done exaggeratedly. It was done with a dramatic effect so that it looks more interesting and more dramatic on camera. If we were to do this in a formal dining, this would not look nice. The right way of unfolding the napkin is always below the table. So imagine we have the napkin back at the table like that. I'll just quickly put it on the right hand side. We would take the napkin, take it down under the table, unfold it under the table, and place it quietly on our lap. This would be the right way of unfolding a napkin. In the third episode, you're going to see that the chef brings in the food to Hailey from the left hand side. This is the correct way of serving. Either be it the chef or the waiter. He'll approach you from your left hand side, serve you the dish, but clear it away from your right hand side. Thank you. As you saw, the waiter brought in the salad from my left hand side, and once I'm done, he's going to clear it away from my right hand side. However, the drinks, they're both going to be served and removed from the right hand side. In this episode, you're going to see how Hailey is eating the food, and let's take a look at the way she's handling the cutlery. So in this episode, we see that she's holding her cutlery way above the plate like that, and her elbows sticking out to both sides. And the issue I had with this eating is that she would bring the food with the fork tines up like that, and moving the end of the fork towards the camera like this. What would be the right way of eating it is, again, cutting a small bite piece of whatever she was eating, holding the cutlery closer to the plate, so not really lifting her elbows up, and bringing the food with the tines looking down like this. Still on the topic of how she's handling the cutlery, take a look at this episode and see what you think looks odd in this particular episode. So here the main issue I had again is that, still on topic of cutlery, is that she was gesturing a lot with her fork while she was talking like this. What would look nicer and more elegant if she were to place the fork on a pause on her plate and then explain whatever she felt about the dish at that moment. Also, you see here that she has a lot of food in her mouth and she is continuing to talk and covering her mouth while eating and still saying something. What I would suggest to do is, instead of taking a bigger bite, make a small cut, make a small bite like this, the one that you can chew on immediately. Put it into your mouth. And then explain whatever you felt about the food. Next, we take a look at how she's eating the soup. Let's take a glance and discuss what's the right way. In this episode, we see how she's eating the soup. She's first taking the soup and bringing it in from the side that's closer to her. We know that the right way is away from you. And then the issue I think I had as an etiquette instructor is that she would bring her elbow closer up like that, bend really down, and then eat the soup like this. What would be a nicer way would be to take the soup, take it away from you, bring it closer to your body so you don't have to really bend down for it, and keep your elbow closer to your body. Like this. In this episode, we see how she served fish and how she eats it. So we see that she served fork and knife, but she only picks the fork to eat the fish, which is actually the correct way. If the fish is soft, you can then only also use just the fork to eat, and she is using her right hand, which is the right way of holding the fork if you're only using the fork. You can use the fork both to cut the fish, but also to eat it. So we see that she separates a piece of fish, and then what she does, interestingly, is that again, she takes the piece of fish and then switches it with the tines up and then puts it into her mouth like she's eating some kind of a soup. The correct way of eating the fish in this case would be making a small piece, cutting a small piece with the fork only, and then taking that little piece and again, with the tines looking downwards, bring it in closer to your mouth. Next, we see her take a sip of wine. Let's take a look at it and discuss what is the right way of taking a sip of any kind of drink at the table. So in this episode, it seems like she has still something in her mouth. She holds the wine glass, takes a sip, and goes something like that. What I would suggest to do is, if you have something in your mouth, let's say you have a little piece of fish in your mouth. You would finish eating it, then you would blot your mouth a little bit to get away of the stain so you don't leave anything on the glass. Then you pick up your wine glass and you take a sip. The next episode is still on topic of handling cutlery. Let's take a look at it and talk about it. What would make me really uncomfortable throughout the whole video is the way that she would gesture, holding her fork and knife in her hand and swaying it up in the air like that. What I think would look nicer would be to place her cutlery back on a plate on a pause mode. So she's taking a break, and then use her beautiful hands to explain things that she liked, the flavors that she liked. So always leave your cutlery on a pause whenever you want to use your hands to explain something. Here we see that the spoon is placed facing down, which is unusual for European or American way of dining, but is very typical of French way of dining. Usually the spoon as well as the fork is placed with tines or head facing down. This is so that the embroidery or the family name on the back of the spoon or the fork would be displayed when you're having dinner or lunch. So now it's the dessert time. Let's take a look at how Hailey is having her dessert. So in this episode, we see that Hailey is eating a dessert. First, she's using fork and knife, but within an instant, we see that she switches the knife for a spoon. I don't know if someone told her to switch to spoon or she intuitively reached out for the spoon instead of a knife. Oftentimes, you'd see that the dessert would be served with just a fork and a spoon. In that case, the spoon acts both as a knife and as a sort of vehicle to bring that dessert into your mouth. And then the fork is just there to steady the dessert. So to show you in real life how that would work, you would use the fork to insert into the dessert and steady it while you are using the spoon to cut a piece of the dessert. And then you would use that spoon to bring it into your mouth, like that. In this next episode, you see that she is taking a pause from dessert. Let's take a look at it, and I wonder if you also felt uncomfortable watching this particular episode. So we see that she's taken a pause from the dessert, or she's done eating the dessert, and she places the fork and the spoon back on the table. That is something you should never ever do. Once your fork, knife, spoon has touched the food, it remains on your plate for the duration. Either you take a pause or you're finished with the meal. The used cutlery never touches again back the table or the napkin. Here she has a table napkin, which is a smaller version of a tablecloth, so to speak, but you don't have to place it there either because you don't want to have any stains on the table napkin. And the final episode for today again has to do with her holding the cutlery. Let's take a look at it and discuss what I would recommend doing in that particular case. Again, you'll see that she is gesturing a lot, holding her cutlery. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again in this video, but because this happens throughout the entire video and it's not a one instance thing where she felt like saying something and she still had her cutlery in her hands. It's something she consistently does throughout the video, which I want to address and highlight that it's important that you don't gesture with the cutlery in your hand. If you want to say something, do something, and explain something, again, you're eating, you're enjoying your meal, and all of a sudden you want to explain something enthusiastically, you'd place your cutlery back on a pause mode, use your hands to explain things, to talk about whatever you want to talk, and then go back, pick up your cutlery. This is first because it looks more elegant, it doesn't look threatening to the audience, to the person that you're talking to, but also she does this gesture of raising the knife in her hand up like that, closer to her eye. I think just for safety reason, it didn't look very nice, so it'd be much safer for her to place the knife first down on the plate and then her cutlery and then cover her mouth if she needed to. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. I hope that you truly enjoyed watching it. If you did, give the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And also write in the comment section below what you found most interesting. Also, if you're interested in dining etiquette, please make sure to join my online course, Western Formal Dining Etiquette from A to Z, that I'll link down below in the description box. On this note, if you're interested in this kind of videos where I do reviews or reactions to etiquette lessons, make sure to check out my Patreon Etiquette Movie Club, where I do monthly reviews of the movies and etiquette lessons learned from that movies. As well, if you love reading like I do, join my Patreon book club. I'll be more than happy to see you there. All the links for everything that I've mentioned here are down below in the description box. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!